But when this guy set this business up in 2003 in Japan, he was told by the fashion retailers in Japan that he would never make money selling fashion accessories off the mobile platform. In 2008, he made 83 million euros in revenues by people buying fashion accessories off the mobile device, and a 45% response rate. I would defy anyone in this room to tell me that any other form of commercial communications can deliver that type of response rate. And lastly, from Africa, I want to talk about a business called TextEagle. And what TextEagle say is to their corporate clients is, we can offer to you the largest knowledge workforce in the world, the 2+ billion people from developing economies that have a mobile device. And to those people that have those mobile devices, what TextEagle says is, we can link you up through mobile communications into a global economy where access to revenues and money that come via that global network would never get you in any other way. So this is how it works. TextEagle receives a piece of work from a corporate client anywhere in the world. They then deconstruct that piece of work into micro tasks that can be done on the mobile device. So it doesn't matter where I am, I'm in my village and my phone goes, and what I listen to is a piece of a manual that I'm being asked to translate into my local dialect. For example, in Africa, there are many, many languages, but there are also many dialects. The more people that you want to connect to, and to make that connection, meaningful, is actually by being able to talk to people in their own language. I complete my task, or I could be doing a piece of translation using a keyboard, and I resend that back to TextEagle. TextEagle then checks the work, reconfigures it, and sends it back to the client. For that person in that village, they will be getting between $2 to $3 for that piece of work. I think that's extraordinary. So what does that teach us? Well, what it teaches us, I think, is that thinking about mobile in terms of workforce organization, something that Rick was talking about earlier with some of the Blackberry products, means that we can think completely about how we can organize our workforce, how we can get that information to be ubiquitous and to travel at speeds previously unprecedented, and that we can reach people in parts of the world that previously we didn't think we were able to. The internet can't do that. Only mobile communications can do that. Now, it was Proust that said that the real voyage of discovery is not to seek new landscapes, but to look upon the world with fresh eyes. So I brought my Proust 3D Viewmaster with me to sort of help you think about some of the things that you should be taking away from my presentation this morning. Well, what I see is in all of the case histories and stories I presented to you is a number of patterns, which I think are very important. This idea that we have to think about how can we get communication and information to be everywhere. That, in fact, social is not this thing that is misunderstood as what we call social media, where we ignore the importance of the word social, but actually by embedding socialness into the very fabric of the types of businesses that we are creating and developing, we can actually generate huge amounts of revenues. We can also enable our workforces to be able to work together more successfully. That location-based information and data is very, very important to every single enterprise in this room. It doesn't matter whether it's something like Foursquare or whether it's thinking about location in a dispersed type of way in terms of TextEagle, but location data is extremely important. Feedback data. Argos actually is in communication with 5 million people a month via its SMS service. It's getting a lot of feedback in the same way that Custodian is building its business through feedback with its customers. And by that feedback being constant and being able to be applied, therefore, to the enterprise as dynamic data means that that business is being a lot more successful. In the same way that actually understanding behaviors within social networks is extremely important. But it can also be personalized, a bit like Custodian, for example, or even the SMS service from Argos coming to me. Because the thing that mobile does, and the thing that you need to change your mindset around, is that I would say I'm not speaking to an audience of, say, 1,000 people in this room, but I'm speaking to every single one of you, because each and every one of you is an individual, and each and every one of you has a mobile device in your pocket. It is your device. So we don't want to be thinking about sort of, demographics anymore. We need to be thinking about people and how we attract people and how we are communicating to those people on a one-on-one basis. But equally, communities of interest, things like Girls Walker, where we can harness and attract the passion of people to want to help grow your business, be part of your business, by going back to the insight that actually we are a read-write species, and we are a highly participatory species as well, that want to be engaged in a whole variety of different ways in making the world make more sense to us. And business can harness that. Who would have thought that actually, 5 years ago, we would have been talking about the role of social within enterprise in the way we are today? It's still a little bit misunderstood, but we are having that conversation, and I think that's extremely important. We are all in this together. We have to think about how we create win-win scenarios and solutions, a little bit like the way that Foursquare has done, only but as one example in terms of how do we create value for everyone. Because when we create value for everybody, we create more sustainable business as a consequence of that. And a little bit sort of like, the idea of custodian, that it's not about ownership, but it's about relationships. Money is made when you work on trust rather than control. That is where the dollar revenue comes from. And so what's our to-do list? Well, I really think and urge you that you've got to think and adapt to this network world. It's a collaborative ecosystem that offers you a huge strategic opportunity where mobile can really enable that to happen. You have to offer value to your customers from day one. It's what I call the Bill Bailey principle. Bill's a comedian in England, and somebody once came up to him and they said, "Bill, how do you come up with your jokes?" And he says, "Well, I start with a laugh and I work backwards. What do I need to do to create that amount of laughter?" And you have to really think about that. How do we create that laughter? How do we create that value? And how do we reiterate back from that? A friend of mine who's a CTO said the best way to get something right is to get it wrong as quickly as you can so you can start fixing it. So start with basic things. But within the context of mobile and enterprise, I think some of the stuff that Rick has laid out for you today in his presentation and what you're going to see throughout the rest of the day is you've already got a flying start in enabling mobile to be a very sort of successful driver of your enterprise. And the other challenge I put to you is, where does mobile enterprise sit within your organization? Have you sent it down to the tea room and the tea boy and say, "Go away and think about mobile for me"? Or is it taken up to board level, strategic level, where you truly understand it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's healthcare, enterprise, whether you're a small business, whether you're a large business, you have to take ownership over understanding how mobile can change your business for the better. Payment via mobile and identity protection are also going to be key important parts of this story. Mobile and payment is going to be huge. And we really need to think, you need to think about actually how you could enable that to happen. And true engagement on mobile is actually moving from this world of push to pull. How do I become attractive to all my stakeholders that I really want to be talking and engaging with me? And my last piece of advice, because this story is not done yet, is upgrade yourself constantly. Ladies and gentlemen, muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan.